Hey guys, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty Advantage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today I've got a treat for you thanks to my friend Matty A, Matt Aitchison, out of Sacramento, California. I am so excited to share him with you. Not only does he have so much energy and enthusiasm, he's just an all-around super awesome guy with tons of energy to exude all through the video today.
Oh,
Welcome, Matt.
What's up, Jenny? Hey, I always know it's gonna be a great interview when the interviewer pronounces my last name right. It just puts me on like a whole nother level of energy. So I'm fired up to be here with you today.
Well, Matt, we met years ago now at a Keller Williams event, Recharge. We had a blast in Boston.
We had a little bit too much fun in Boston, that's for sure.
And what was fun about those kind of events, at least for me, you will probably agree, is that when you go to these even higher level, I don't know what the right words are to use, places of growth that are insane with all the talent around you, you just absorb so much and make so many new friends. Would you agree that that has contributed to a lot of your already success, just your growth?
I would hands down say that's that's a part of my growth plan every year is to attend at least a half dozen events that are, within specific niches or areas that I want to grow within, whether that's I'm in a mastermind of being a better dad. I'm in a marriage mastermind. So it's always trying to find ways to level up in the areas that I want to expand and grow in, the pillars that I call them, that I've identified as being really, really important to my core values, to my growth, to my long-term goals, vision, lifestyle, income, all that kind of stuff. And I don't think there's a better way of hacking your way to the place you want to be a whole lot faster than going to those kind of events, because not only are you going to get the tactical, logical, here's how you get from A to Z kind of stuff, but it's like a self-discovery process of who you become in the process of trying to hack that from a tactical, logical standpoint. And then to compound that of being in a room or a weekend or a week with other people who are in the same like mindset, same space, same openness, same vulnerability, same wanting to deliver value. You pair all of those kind of things together, all those ingredients make for some really magical stuff to happen. So that was a perfect example of, I think we all kind of went to that event feeling like strangers and all left as like family and friends and connecting and just trying to find ways to support each other and sharing stuff that, moved the needle forward for a lot of people. So I love those kind of events, and they're always a part of my growth plan.
Well, I love that you brought that up, because really you have had quite a path, and now where you are today might not have been where you ever thought you'd be years back. So why don't we just talk about how you got into real estate and then the journey of where you are now?
Yeah, I got into real estate. I graduated college in 2010 and I moved back home. I was in debt and couldn't find a job, and had basically, paid a bunch of money to get hired for $35,000, $40,000 a year. And I was like, that's just not aligned with the vision that I had for myself. And I ultimately wasn't really, really clear on what that vision was. Like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew I wanted to be successful. And I wanted a lot of the things that I think a lot of people who end up in real estate want, which is being your own boss, having the freedom and flexibility to kind of create your own fate, your own destiny. I wanted to help people achieve their goals in the process of achieving what I wanted to achieve. I wanted unlimited earning potential, no ceiling on what I could make based on how many hours a week or day I put in. I wanted something that allowed me to design my own lifestyle, that sexiness of, being able to create whatever it was that you wanted to create. And then I wanted, in addition to that, something that wasn't just collecting a paycheck and checking all those other boxes, but that actually allowed me to generate true wealth. And real estate was the one that checked all of those boxes off. And so I got into real estate with the intention that I wanted to become a full-time investor. And I kind of told myself first starting out, like, hey, you got to learn the ropes. You got to, become a realtor. And so I actually worked for about 10 months for free, working for another broker. And it was one of the best educations I'd ever gotten. And this broker actually ended up flipping a lot of houses, and had a pretty decent sized retail business. And so I really got a lay of the land very quickly. And I saw how much money that broker was making on his flips and how much money that broker was making on his commission checks. And I saw how much money I was making on my commission checks and how much work I was putting in and how much money he was putting in, or work he was putting in. And I just realized the higher ROI on my time is on the investing side. But I ended up partnering with a mutual friend and a well-known individual in the industry, Rachel Adams, and we built our real estate team. We were top 1,000 real estate teams in the country for 2 years within our first 5 years, and a lot of failing forward, a lot of expansion in our teams, a lot of implosion in our teams, a lot of, you just don't put a chip in your brain and all of a sudden become an amazing leader at the age of 21 or 22, or a good manager, or a good, financial analyst, or a marketing expert. And so there was a lot of those growing pains, but in the meantime of building my real estate team, I was also, being that I had leverage on that side of assistants and admin and Rachel and buyer's agents, I was over here kind of like really grinding away on my big long-term vision, which was my investing business. And so I was flipping houses on the side. I was starting to buy some rental properties. I partnered in a construction company. And as time continued to go on, it kind of hit that threshold where I had to look at where I was allocating my time and what I was making the most money based on that allocation, as well as what most fired me up to get up every single day and be ecstatic about what I was doing. And I realized that where I was spending a lot of my time wasn't ultimately aligned with my long-term vision, nor was it my highest and best use of my time, nor was it what really, really fired me up. So I made more of a shift and transition full-time to building out my real estate portfolio, my own personal rental portfolio, building out my flipping business that I flip houses in, and building a real estate investing education platform that teaches and trains other people that want to do this for themselves how to do it. And that's where I've been playing the last few years very heavily, as well as, most importantly, being a dad and being a good husband, and kind of focusing and watering all the other gardens that I tell myself are really important.
Well, you are so laser focused on your vision. So when it became just a business decision for you of what's making me what's the best return on my investment of my time, it was clear for you. You're clearly a high D. I'm just going to say it because
Good guess.
And now for those of us realtors out watching this and seeing how clear and simple and easy all that is for you, or decisions were for you, maybe it's a little more wishy-washy, not sure which direction to go. Could you give any advice or guidance?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people ultimately, the biggest challenge for most people, and I talk to so many awesome realtors who they're grinding away in their business because they feel like they have to, and not because they want to. And then when you ask them, like, what is it that you want? Well, I want A, B, and C. And a lot of it has to do with freedom of, time and where they spend and allocate their time, not doing open houses anymore on the weekends and spending time away from my family, not, going on listing appointments at 8:00 at night when I should be at my kid's basketball game, or whatever it is. Right. And when you help people get clarity, that's the number one thing, is people are lacking clarity. They have a desire, but they don't really know what it is. And so if one of the things that I always work with people on is, you got to get crystal clear in what you want. Like, it's not like hey, I want to become a millionaire. It's like, I want a specific measurable goal that I know can be achievable, and I can break up into bite-sized pieces and milestones, and I can hold myself accountable, and I can put dates next to. And like, a lot of people just lack clarity, and therefore it's like, saying, it's like you going, hey, I really want to go to Disneyland with my family. And I go, okay, cool. Well, how are you going to get there? Right. And you could go on MapQuest or go on Google Maps, and you could literally find a turn-by-turn instruction of how to get there. Well, that's like trying to get to Disneyland without a map, without anything. You just don't know. And so if people can get really clear on what it is that they want, then we can pair that with an actual action plan, a flight plan, a roadmap for getting there. Once you have your roadmap, then it just comes down to accountability and discipline. Like, do you have the ability, based on everything you've identified as needing to get done in order to achieve this goal, the ability to stay disciplined, consistent, and focused on those activities and only those activities? And when I look at when a lot of people get clear on what it is that they want, and they get the action plan on what it is that they want, and then you go and you audit their calendar or their schedule, they do not align almost at all. And so a lot of people are mistaking movement for achievement and wasting a lot of their time on activities that ultimately aren't going to move the needle forward. And then they feel burned out and frustrated, and then they want to move on to the next thing because they're not getting the results with the one thing that they're trying. But ultimately it's because they're not in alignment with the things that they're telling themselves they want and need to do, but aren't willing to do, or can't have, don't have the discipline to do. So those are kind of the three main things of like, hey, if you want to, retire from real estate by the time you're 50, cool. How much passive income do you need to come in every month? Or how many sales do you need to do every month without you maybe being the one who's doing them all the time? Who needs to be on that bus with you? Like, there's so many ways of architecting and engineering the plan that works for you. But the number one piece first and foremost is you got to be crystal clear in what you're going after. And then it just comes down to a game of execution. And when there are so many distractions in the world that we live in today, I think that's one of the hardest pieces. Is the action plan. You can draft that up very easily. Getting clarity is a hard part. Execution is the asterisk next to all that. Like, we could give you clarity, we could give you an action plan, but only you have the ability to consistently execute on that every single day. And that's what most people struggle with.
Matt, how do I get clear?
Part of the clarity is, there's a lot of work that people need to do. And when you ask yourself, like, what is it that you're really going after? There's the 5 questions I'm sure you've heard of, or a lot of people, this is a strategy that a lot of life coaches, a lot of people use. It's the 5 whys. And so if you say, well, I want to be financially free. Well, why do you want to be financially free? Well, I want to be financially free because I want to spend more time with my kids and I don't have to worry about bills. Well, why do you want that? Well, I want to be financially free. And so you just keep going until you get to the root of the cause of, like, that's why I want that.
Love that.
Right? And then from there, once you know what that North Star is, then you can start building around that and making sure that all the goals and all the activities and all the milestones that you're trying to hit along the way to achieving that, because it's not something you're just going to be like, okay, one and done. This is your big vision for life. So it's going to take a lot of progress. But if you're struggling of like, what do I want? Throwing that out there and then kind of breaking down the 5 whys is really important. And I always would pair that with, does what you really want align with your morals, your values, your ethics, and what's going to get you extremely fired up and passionate about life every day? Because if you say, I want to be worth $10 million, but that doesn't really excite you, and there's no motive or meaning or reason or, rhyme behind why you want that, then I don't know if that's the right goal. So part of, the clarity piece is it takes time. Like and in the beginning, if you're younger and you're listening to this, I say try a lot of things until you figure out something that really fires you up, and then go. Like, I'm a big believer in going a mile deep and an inch wide. But when you're young and you're just starting out, I'm a big believer in going actually a mile wide and an inch deep and figuring out what really gets you excited, and then going a mile deep and an inch wide. If you're older and you're like, man, I'm having a midlife crisis and I don't know what I want to do, don't limit yourself based on this timeline that you think you have. Just create and manifest and put the intention out there of ultimately what you would love to accomplish in the next 10, 20 years. And if you can do that, unbiasedly and very openly, then you can really actually give yourself some permission to dream and get a little bit more clear on what it is that will fire you up and get you excited to dig into some of these things that we're talking about.
I love that. It's kind of obvious, since you've got it on your head, that you're an investor. I
Yes.
love all of your marketing and your media all behind you. There is no doubt of who you are and what your brand is and what your focus is. So let's just chat a minute about so everyone can go follow you in all the places, because you are a blast to watch in action.
I appreciate that.
You've got your videographer following you around and documenting you. I mean, where did all these ideas come from, and the passion for all of what you're doing in all the different ways?
Um, yeah, some are for selfish reasons, and some are for the for value add. Selfish reasons are, I have like my videographer follow me around because I actually really want to document my life, and we're doing family vlogs and things like that where, some people might want to keep a photo album. I want to keep a video album of me and my kids and my wife and all the adventures that we do and all the stuff that we get to, because I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but I can barely remember what I had for breakfast last week, let alone like some of the conversations I have or people I met or things that I did. So to be able to capture that, I think is just, it's an amazing platform to do it through. And I aesthetically love just to see things versus read them or listen to them. But it's also because that's how people build connections with people. And so from a selling perspective, to be able to build authority, to connect with somebody, to, give a personality, a name, a face to a lot of the stuff that I do, video is just the best platform to do that. And it's not going away. It's going to become more and more of a prominent vehicle for people deciding who they decide to do business with. And I think a lot of, people have been talking about this in the real estate industry probably for the last 5, 6, 7 years of, video is not going anywhere. And it's one of those things where you have to step up, to adopting a lot of these platforms, because that could be the difference between you thriving in your business space and you getting left behind in your business space. And we know that technology is not going away, and it's only going to continue to disrupt what real estate agents and real estate professionals and real estate investors do. And therefore, I'm a big believer in early adoption and testing a lot of this stuff out. So that's part of why I do what I do. And then just from the branding perspective of, all my different companies, it's leverage, is I don't need to go, like some of the videos that I create in my training courses, I don't need to train 10,000 people on how to invest in real estate flips. I have one training course with 100 videos that 100,000 people can go in, and it requires none of my time, And so I made a good chunk of money this last weekend from my real estate investing course that's automated and on autopilot, and I didn't do anything for it. So part of why I do a lot of what I do and why I leverage a lot of these platforms is I know that I'm not scalable. I only have 24 hours in the day, just like you do, just like the next person, just like anybody that's listening to this. And so the one way I can scale myself, my efforts and my results is through people and through systems, and the video platforms and the branding and the credibility and some of the stuff that I use those for allow me to ultimately get more of my time back and increase the results that I'm getting. So that's why sometimes it feels like can be a little tenuous, right? A lot of the work that goes up front to it, but then once the systems are in place and the people are in place and it's on autopilot, and you see, hear money chinging into your bank account, you didn't do anything for it. That's part of my 5-year vision, is I wanted to build an independent location-based business to where I could be anywhere in the world, traveling anywhere with my family, and my passive income from my rental properties, my flipping business, my property management business, construction business, and my digital marketing and education companies are all running without me, and they're empowering all the people within those organizations, and I have more freedom over my time, which that's the part, is just having that crock pot mentality instead of the microwave mindset, and really trusting and committing to this long-term vision instead of these short-term results or obstacles that may present themselves.
I love that. And you reminded me to share and point out with everyone that something they can start implementing in their businesses as I'm growing my team here, and I'm having a new team member. And in that past, it was, one at a time. And then I get out of the habit of out of the event. I'm treating it like an event rather than a system or a process. And so now every time I'm training or talking on something, I'm just recording it, or I'm teaching a class for a whole market center, I'm recording it. So now I've got a training library, like you mentioned, so that it can just always be watched and learned at that time.
It's amazing because every time we brought on a new agent, some agents would say, some would leave. We were dedicating a good amount of time to them to integrate them onto the team and onboard them. And so we literally created a full onboarding system for, here's how you log into your email. Here's how you take leads in. Here's how you report this. Here's one team. And you can literally automate your entire business. And what I would say for any real estate professional is build your business not for where you're at today, but for where you want it to be. And if you want to be working 5 hours a week in your business and making the same amount of money, the one way you're going to do that is by creating systems that great people can follow. And so by doing that now, right, you're going to start forcing yourself to level up your game and create the stuff that other people can thrive in and use. It's going to make you come off way more professional. It's going to save you a whole lot more time, right? And that's what's ultimately going to allow you to scale. And I always believe, and this is where most, I think, real estate professionals, we choose to overlook in thinking, is build your business as if you were going to sell it, like literally. And if you go around in our industry and be like, hey, have you heard of anybody selling their real estate business? It's kind of like taboo. It's like a green unicorn. Like, I think I heard about this guy who sold his book of business to this gal a while back, but I don't know how they valued it. And like, if you can create systems and give systems to people and produce repeatable, scalable results, your business is saleable. And you can eventually, at some point in time, sell your book of business, because you can say, hey, Johnny, I'm going to sell you my book of business that generates $500,000 net every year, and I want to sell it to you at 2x what that's going to be, or I want to negotiate in, a 15% royalty for the next 20 years that generates passive income, right? People don't think about that kind of stuff. But if you started building infrastructure and started putting people inside the infrastructure you're building, eventually you're going to have enough data to support that. And you could go and take that and use that as a retirement vehicle for building wealth. So don't overlook the importance of that kind of stuff. Even though it's tedious and it sucks and it's not sexy, the results are sexy.
Well, you're doing it anyway. You're training them on that topic anyway.
Right.
So might as well document it. So you touched on something that I want to get to before we end here, and that is your passion for wealth building.
Yep.
So what is something that you really encourage agents to go ahead and start diving into now while they're real estate agents? Now, let's say our audiences are mostly agents. However, this is also shared outside of our world. So even if you're just an investor and you're not a real estate agent, this can work as well.
Yeah, I think just in general, the simple approach to becoming a millionaire through real estate that people just overlook. And one of my mentors, we're both like spreadsheet geeks, and, try and dig into kind of cracking the code on some of the things that we were talking about. And I was like, what would it look like? Because I've always had this, this motto of like, just one. All it takes is one. And whether that's one conversation that changes your life, one mentor, one relationship, one experience, one opportunity, one lead, one client, like whatever. All it takes is one to completely set you on a new path. And it could be a good one or it could be a bad one, right? So you got to be careful of that. But I started applying this to real estate investing of going, I know so many amazing realtors. And I know a lot of awesome realtors that are in their 60s and their 70s and some in their 80s. And they're grinding in their business, not because they want to, but because they have to. And then they sit here and they tell me these stories and they go, man, you're so smart for doing this early on. And I wish I would have done this and da-da-da-da-da, right? And it just made me realize that what if every single realtor bought one property a year for the next 10 years? And I modeled and broke this down in a legitimate spreadsheet and said, what does it have to look like for someone to actually become a millionaire in real estate? What would they have to put down? What price point would they have to buy it? What would they have to rent it out at? And essentially, if you bought a property, and I have this spreadsheet right in front of me, but if you bought a property that you ended up buying it for, as I pull this up, $150,000, you put 30 into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at a 5% interest rate over 30 years, let's say, and you could rent it out for $1,500. Oh no, this was the wrong one, but it was $90,000 all in, and you could rent it out for 1025. You would, in 10 years, your property, your equity in that property would be over $1 million, and you'd be generating about $32,000 a year in passive income net.
Yeah, sign me up.
Right? But it's like we overcomplicate it. Like, and literally it was like, if you just put 20,000 down on the first property, you can do one more property, but you flip it. You could use that down payment to buy the next one, then to fund the next one, to fund the next one. And you basically created $1 million portfolio with just $20,000 down. But most people overlook this. They think it's too complicated. And I can tell you, by learning the language of real estate investing and understanding numbers, becoming financially literate on that side of the business, that helped me scale my real estate team to the Wall Street Journal Top 1,000. It helped me close more listings. It helped me add value to somebody when I was going into a listing appointment and saying, hey, we can list your house for this, and here's my amazing marketing plan, and da-da-da-da-da, like the other 10 agents that came in before me. But if I was pairing it and saying, hey, but here's another part of our business that we can do. I can buy your house. I won't charge you any commissions, any closing costs. I'll buy it as is, and I'll close it in 7 days. Or I can tell you what you should do to your home, and this is what it's going to cost, and here's how much it's going to add to your listing price, which is going to put more money in your pocket. Which one makes the most sense for you? Each one of those channels gave me an opportunity to either list the property, to send it over to my construction company and have them fix it up and then send it back over to the listing, right? Or to buy the property and I flip it and I hold it myself, or I make money off the flip or whatever, but I didn't steer anybody anyway. And it gave me the opportunity to add value to them and say, hey, Mr. Seller, which one makes the most sense for you? And that increased our ability to list more houses. It increased my ability to close on more investment properties for myself and my personal portfolio, or if you want to do this for your clients or whatever it may be. But by understanding the language of real estate investing, you're giving yourself an opportunity to not only generate wealth, but to add way more value to the marketplace, which always gets rewarded. And it's going to add more value to your long-term community of the people that are in your world, whether that's in your business or actually in your community. Real estate investing is one of the best vehicles out there that you can generate wealth in. And it, outside of the initial things that you need to do, starts to work for itself and does all of the things that no other investment vehicle can do for you.
Where should those that are interested in learning more about investing, where should we start? Where should we go?
Well, go to mattaitchison.com first if you want to connect with me. That's my shameless plug. But
Not shameless.
I would say most importantly is finding a deal. That's what you should do. Is you should take your realtor cap off for a second and put your investor cap on and turn your RAS, your reticular activating system, onto an opportunity of, can I give them one of these 3 offers that I just talked about on this potential opportunity? Or can I do that on every deal? And like I said, all it takes is one. You might go on 100 listing appointments and 99 of them say no, but it takes one person to go, you know what? I'm super stressed out and I want to move across the country to be closer to my grandkids, and I'm willing to take $40,000 less than what I know you can sell it on the retail market for, and it's worth it for me. That's a win-win. Let's go. Yeah. And that completely changes your whole investing career, shifts your, wealth degree, 1 degree over the next, however many years. So I think that you just got to be able to look for it. And then obviously pair yourself with a mentor or a coach. It's the greatest life hack out there to avoid mistakes that you might make otherwise, shorten your learning curves, tap into their networks, their wisdom, their resources. It's as good as it gets. So those would be my 2 advices right out of the gate.
Wow, you have just packed in so much value in that short period of time. I am just blown away, and I will have to go back and take some notes. Some things I did really, really enjoy was the 5 whys, and there's just one. Just look for that one.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Hey, Matt, how can everybody follow you, send you referrals, ask you questions, all that stuff?
Yeah, I am on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. My handle is official Matty A, Matty official Matty A, which is the same across all platforms. They can reach out to me there. I got all kinds of free tools and resources and paid stuff as well on mattaitchison.com, where people can learn more about what's available there.
They can also subscribe to your podcast, which is right behind you, so they can see Millionaire.
Yes, I got Six Figure Flipper and Millionaire Mindcast. I was like, which way do I go? Where I am always trying to, just like the people listening to this show, stay a student of the game, always looking for my next teacher, finding something that I can apply to my business to create more value for, myself, for the people that I work with, for the people that I serve. So podcasting is a great way to do that.
You are super awesome, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
You, Jenny.
If you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, Matt.